The knock on my bedroom door was soft, but it felt louder than anything I'd ever heard. I froze mid-sentence, the words in my notebook trailing off into nothing. No one ever knocked that gently in our house. My parents usually called out from downstairs, and my little brother just barged in like the world owed him something. This was different. Careful. Hesitant. Then her voice came through the door. "Oliver, it's me. Can I come in? We need to talk." My heart skipped. It was Hannah. My best friend Caleb's older sister. And for some reason, in that moment, everything felt like it was about to change. I stared at the door, unsure how to respond. Hannah had never come to my room before. Not once. She'd always been kind in a distant way, smiling when we crossed paths, asking polite questions, treating me like I mattered without ever stepping too close. She was the kind of person people naturally respected. Calm, thoughtful, the type who listened more than she spoke. And now she was standing outside my door, asking to come in like something important was weighing on her. "Yeah," I finally managed. "You can come in." The door opened slowly. Hannah stepped inside, closing it behind her with care. She wasn't dressed any differently than usual, just a simple sweater and jeans, but something about her posture felt heavier. Like she was carrying something invisible on her shoulders. For a moment, neither of us spoke. She glanced around my room, her eyes lingering on the scattered papers, the half-finished sketches, the books piled in uneven stacks. Then she looked back at me, and there was a softness in her expression that made my chest tighten. "Sorry," she said quietly. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "You're not," I said quickly. "I mean, I was just writing. Nothing important." She gave a small smile, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Sometimes the things we say aren't important are the ones that matter the most. I didn't know how to respond to that. She stepped a little further into the room and gestured toward the chair by my desk. "Can I sit?" "Of course." She sat down, folding her hands in her lap, taking a breath like she was preparing herself. I noticed then that her fingers were trembling slightly. That made my stomach twist. "Hannah, is everything okay?" She looked at me, really looked at me, and for a second it felt like she could see straight through me, past the words I said, past the face I showed everyone else. "That's actually what I came to ask you," she said. I blinked. "Me?" She nodded. "Oliver, can I ask you something? And I need you to be honest with me." "Yeah, sure." She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Have you been okay lately?" I let out a small, awkward laugh. "Yeah. I mean, I'm fine." "Why?" She didn't laugh. "Because Caleb's been worried about you." The air in the room shifted. I looked away, suddenly very interested in the scribbles on my desk. "I don't know why he'd be worried," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm the same as always." Hannah didn't push. She just sat there, quiet, patient. And somehow, that made it harder to keep pretending. "He said you've been quieter," she continued gently. "That you stopped coming over as much. That you don't laugh the same way anymore." I swallowed. "Caleb noticed that?" "Of course he did. He was my best friend." Still, hearing it out loud made something inside me tighten. "I've just been busy," I said. "With what?" The question wasn't sharp. It wasn't accusing. It was soft, almost curious. And that made it impossible to answer with another excuse. I opened my mouth, then closed it again. Because the truth was, I didn't even know how to explain it. How do you tell someone that you feel like you're slowly disappearing, even when nothing dramatic has happened? How do you explain that everything looks normal on the outside, but inside, it feels like you're walking through fog? "I don't know," I finally admitted. Hannah's expression softened even more. "That's okay," she said. "You don't have to have all the answers." We sat in silence for a moment. Then she spoke again, more quietly this time. "Can I tell you something?" I nodded. "A few years ago, I went through something similar." I looked up, surprised. Hannah always seemed so put together. Like she had everything figured out. She gave a small, almost embarrassed smile. "I know I don't look like it now. But there was a time when I felt completely lost. I'd wake up every day and feel like I was just going through the motions. Like I wasn't really there." Her words hit closer than I expected. "What did you do?" I asked. She leaned back slightly, thinking. "At first, I tried to ignore it. I told myself it would pass. That I just needed to be stronger, or busier, or better somehow." She shook her head softly. "But that didn't work." "So what did?" She looked at me again, and there was something steady in her gaze. "I let someone in." I frowned slightly. "Who?" "My friend Amelia," she said. "She noticed before I did. Just like Caleb noticed you." I felt a small pang in my chest at that. "She didn't force me to talk," Hannah continued. "She just stayed. She listened. And slowly, I realized I didn't have to carry everything by myself." Her words settled over me like a quiet warmth. "I think that's why I'm here," she added. "Because sometimes we don't realize how much we're holding in until someone gently asks us to put it down." I stared at my hands. There were so many things I hadn't said. So many thoughts I'd kept buried because they felt too small, or too confusing, or too hard to explain. But sitting there, with Hannah's calm presence filling the room, it didn't feel impossible anymore. "I've just been feeling stuck," I said slowly. "Like no matter what I do, it's not enough. School, friends, everything, it just feels off." Hannah nodded, as if she understood exactly what I meant. "That's a really hard place to be," she said. "I don't even know why," I admitted. "Nothing bad has happened. I just feel like I'm falling behind somehow." "You're not alone in feeling that way," she said gently. "A lot of people go through seasons like that." "Yeah, but it doesn't make it easier." "No," she agreed. "It doesn't." She paused, then leaned forward slightly. "But it does mean there's a way through it." I looked up at her. "How?" She smiled softly. "By not facing it alone." Something about the way she said it made my chest loosen just a little. "You already have people who care about you, Oliver," she continued. "Caleb, your family, and honestly, even me. We're all on your side." I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. "I didn't want to bother anyone," I said. "You're not a bother," she said immediately. "You're a person. And people need people. That's not a weakness, that's how we're made." Her words settled deep. For the first time in weeks, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to figure everything out by myself. "What should I do now?" I asked. Hannah thought for a moment. "Start small," she said. "Talk to Caleb. Spend time doing something you enjoy, even if it feels pointless at first. And most importantly, be patient with yourself." I nodded slowly. "I think I can do that." She smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. "I know you can." We sat there for a while longer, talking about simple things, school, hobbies, small plans for the weekend. Nothing heavy, nothing overwhelming. But somehow, everything felt lighter. When Hannah finally stood up to leave, she paused by the door. "I'm really glad I came in," she said. "Me too," I replied. She hesitated, then added softly, "And Oliver? You don't have to wait for things to get worse before you reach out." You're allowed to ask for support anytime. I nodded. I will. She gave me one last reassuring smile, then stepped out, closing the door gently behind her. The room was quiet again. But it didn't feel empty anymore. I looked down at my notebook, at the unfinished sentence from earlier. For the first time in days, I picked up my pen. And this time, the words came easier. Because something had shifted. Not everything was fixed. I still had questions, still had moments of doubt. But I also had something I didn't have before. Hope. And sometimes, that's all it takes to start moving forward again. Because no matter how lost you feel, no matter how quiet the struggle is inside you, there will always be someone willing to knock on your door, and remind you that you don't have to face it alone.